All right, this is it, the final part of our series on TSMC. We spent all this time looking at how its industrial muscle was built. Now, we're going to see how that muscle has been forged into a diplomatic shield. Let's dive in.
Okay, so to really get where TSMC is heading, we have to quickly look back at how it got here. In the first two parts, we basically pieced together the company's, let's call it its operational body. Now we're going to uncover its political soul.
So, quick recap. We've already walked through 6 massive structural advantages. We talked about its mind-boggling CapEx strategy, how its neutrality builds incredible trust, and that one-of-a-kind island-wide ecosystem. We also explored its integrated R&D, its powerful packaging alliances, and how it even funds its suppliers. All of those pillars together built the world's most efficient engine of technology.
But all of that, it brings us to this really critical question. If all those other advantages built TSMC's industrial body, then this final one, this 7th advantage, well, it's something else entirely. This is the one that truly elevates TSMC from just a manufacturer to a global power. We are talking about something huge here: global interdependence and geopolitical entrenchment.
Okay, so global interdependence sounds kind of academic, right? What does it actually mean here? To really wrap our heads around it, we've got to take a step back. And I mean way back, all the way to classical Greece.
See, the key is hidden in the original meaning of the word metropolis. It wasn't just a big city. The word literally breaks down to mother city. It was the cultural, the technical heart that sent its people out to found new, connected settlements. And here's the kicker. These colonies, they weren't ruled by force. They were bound by a shared identity, by mutual dependence.
And that right there, that is the perfect analogy for TSMC's role today. Because through its absolute mastery of semiconductors, the island of Taiwan has become the de facto metropolis of silicon for the entire planet.
And from this mother city, TSMC is now seeding its modern-day colonies. You've got a fab in Arizona, anchoring it deep into the U.S. defense and AI world. Another one in Kumamoto, Japan, tapping into that incredible Japanese expertise in materials and precision. And one in Dresden, Germany, connecting it right to the heart of Europe's auto and industrial sectors. And every single one carries the technical DNA of the mother city, Taiwan.
And this is where the whole story pivots from just business to straight-up statecraft. Think about it. These fabs overseas, they are not just factories. They are treaties written in silicon. They are binding the economic futures of the world's most powerful nations directly to the survival of Taiwan.
And this just opens up some really profound questions, doesn't it? I mean, we have to ask, can a single corporation actually become a nation's most effective diplomat?
And what happens to global politics when the glue holding alliances together isn't a paper treaty anymore, but a shared technological roadmap, a shared industrial necessity? Which brings us to the biggest question of all. In a world totally driven by tech, is mutual dependence the purest and maybe the strongest form of alliance there is? This question gets to the very heart of TSMC's geopolitical power.
And let's be clear, none of this happened by accident. This global footprint is pure diplomacy by design, and it's built on an absolutely brilliant logic.
Okay, so here's the genius of it. TSMC essentially exports the massive physical burden of making chips. I mean, a single advanced fab can burn through 150 megawatts of power and guzzle 100,000 tons of water every single day. It's insane. So by building abroad, TSMC offloads that incredible strain onto its allies. It gets to infuse global talent into its network, but, and this is absolutely crucial, it keeps the brain of the operation, all the core IP, all the process control, safely centralized back home in Taiwan.
And you better believe nations are lining up to pay the price of admission to this club. You've got the US putting up $6.6 billion, Germany $5.4 billion, Japan $4.8 billion. And they are not just buying access to chips, they are bidding for a seat at the table, for a stake in the world's most critical technology network.
This creates such a fascinating contrast in how global influence works. It's like a modern-day retelling of that old fable, the North Wind and the Sun. So on one side, you have something like China's Belt and Road Initiative. That's the North Wind, right? It tries to bind nations through debt, through leverage. It's trying to force the coat off the traveler. And on the other side, you have TSMC.
It's the sun. It persuades nations to align with it, not through force, but through sheer necessity and rock-solid reliability. It's that warm sun that makes the traveler want to take his coat off.
All right, so let's bring this all home. When you stack up all 7 of these structural advantages, you finally see it, the full, truly staggering scale of TSMC's power. We've reached the top of this unreplicable summit.
Just look at this table and see how the difficulty of copying this stuff just skyrockets. Okay, matching CapEx, a 6.5. It's brutally hard, but hey, it's possible. Becoming a pure play, that's a 2. Culturally, it's a nightmare, but legally, it's pretty simple. But then, you hit the island-wide ecosystem and funding your suppliers' R&D. Those are both a 9. We're talking nearly impossible to copy. And then there's this last one, global interdependence. It gets a perfect 10. Why a 10? Because you can't just throw money and engineers at this. This requires deep political alignment with Taiwan's entire ecosystem. At this point, you're not just building a company anymore. You are literally embedding it into the geopolitical architecture of the entire world.
And that right there is the ultimate structural advantage. It's the one that ties every single other piece together. This is what it looks like when raw economic and technological gravity transforms into real political power. It's the moment Taiwan stops being a small island and becomes the indispensable motherboard of our entire civilization.